Hello my loves and welcome back. And if you're new here, then thank you for joining me and giving me a try. Today we're going to do a short mobility sequence for our hips, our knees and our ankles. And we're going to be doing that with a yoga block. Now if you don't have a yoga block, you can still practice. You can do this with an empty small Amazon box or something of this shape. It doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be heavy. What you're after is some mindful awareness of your movement. And that is what we're doing today. Mindful movement for mobility in your hip, your knee, and your ankle. All right, so come down onto your back. Have your block to one side. Just notice your body here. Maybe you have your knees bent, maybe your legs are extended. Just take a moment, settle in. And just think about how your body has been moving recently. Any aches, pains, troubles that have been plaguing you for the last week or so. Anything that you're already aware of that you could notice in your daily life that needs some attention, needs some focus, needs some TLC. Whatever area that is, how does it feel here? And just begin with a little bit of arch and flatten then. So as you inhale, let the lower back arch away from the floor. As you exhale, draw your lower back down into the floor. Inhaling, the tailbone drives down. Exhaling, the tailbone draws up and you tuck. So thinking about the spine undulating on the floor here. As you do this, then let's bring in a little movement of the ankles. So as you inhale your next breath, arch your back and lift the ball of your foot away. And as you exhale, pull the back down, lift the heels up and push the ball of the foot and the toes down. So just moving through that little pattern here, little movement pattern. And again, we're thinking of mindful movement. So it's sometimes a little easy to just kind of go through the motions and not be present in the movement. But can you be mindfully aware of the movement that you're doing? And you'll see soon how the block, the yoga block, can really help connect the mind and the body and the movement. All right, take a little pause in neutral. Draw the right knee in and then grab a hold of your block. You're going to take that block, lift your right foot, and you're going to place the block on top of your right foot. Now, hopefully your toes connect. If they don't, then maybe you need a bigger block. Or maybe you just have the block kind of centered in the middle of the foot. So balancing your block here, and just noticing the effort that's required. So push your block up towards the ceiling and then bring the knee back into the chest. Push the block up and then bring it back in. And just doing that a few times. And starting to notice the awareness that you have with this movement, because as soon as you lose focus, then you lose your block. So, how mindfully aware can you be of lifting that block up and releasing back down? Again, you're working through the hip and the knee here, and a little bit into the ankle. We'll really get into the ankle and our mindful movement in a second. But how much effort is required here? And it's not so much about the physical strength that we're working on here, because the block in itself does not weigh that much, right? What we're thinking of here is the mental strength, the mental effort, the mental awareness, and connecting this movement and focus with our breath, connecting mind and body here. That is yoga, my friends. The pose itself, they're not really yoga. It's the mindful awareness in that pose, in that practice, that is the yoga. That's where it's found. Next time that the block is lifted, pause. All right. So now I want you to think about the size, a circle the size of a coffee cup. And just take that coffee cup circle around here with either thinking about your heel or your toes. Slowly take it around. Small circle. You're going to have to focus, because as soon as you lose focus, you lose your block. Find that focus, find the control. Take a pause, go the other way. If you lose your block, place it back on your foot and come back into the movement. Much easier to do this and not talk through the whole thing. Notice if it's easier or less effort to go in one direction compared to the other. Do you have more control over one side? Come through center. Now think about your ankle here. So can you pull your toes down towards your head without losing your block? And then point your toes up towards the ceiling without using your block. Now it won't be as big of a movement. You'll be doing less movement here than what you could do if you didn't have the block. Because if you really point your toe, you're going to lose that block. So just think about moving less. So this practice is about mobility. You're moving the joints through their range of motion. Mindful awareness, but also doing less. It's a lesson in doing less. We think sometimes that we're doing less, and then we really aren't. Find neutral here. So from here, I want you to think about the next movement coming from the hip. And from the hip, can you rotate so that the knee and the toes point towards the back left corner, and then rotate the leg so that the knees and the toes point towards the back right corner. So just doing it one more time to the left, one more time out to the right. Pause, draw your knee in, grab your block and release. Foot to the floor. All right, let's do the other side. So we'll draw that left knee in, take the block to the sole of the foot, and then lift the block up, Draw the knee back in. Can you keep it balanced? Can you keep it balanced? Is it more of a challenge on this side? Just noticing that. Are you having to replace the block more on one side than the other? And the interesting thing is as well is to notice whether there's any staggering on one side. Is one side jumpier than the other? And the next time that you extend, pause at the top. Think about that circle, about the size of a coffee cup, and take the leg around in that small circle. And just notice, what are you feeling in your body? Where are you feeling any tension, any stretch? Go slow, because the faster you go, the more likely you are to lose that block. Again, mindful movement, mindful awareness. Be in your practice. Pause and go the other way. Just notice if it's more challenging to go in one direction or the other. Take a pause. Now keeping the hips stable, keep the knees stable, and just tilt the block down towards the head. And then tilt the toes up towards the ceiling. And again, it's going to be a smaller movement than what you could do without the block. It's a lesson in doing less. It's what many of us need to do more of, is to do less. I know that sounds completely weird, but we really need to think about doing less. And doing less with purpose. Next time the foot is kind of in a neutral position, pause. And then from here, from the hip, rotate the toes out towards that back left corner. And then in and rotate towards the back right corner. From the hip, rotating toes out. From the hip, rotating toes point in. So we think about this as turned out, kind of duck-footed or ballet turn out, and then toes turned in, pigeon-toed. Pigeon and duck. And just noticing which is your preference here. Is it to turn the toes out or turn the toes in? Which feels more comfortable? less tension. Next time you turn the toes in, that'll be your last one. Come back through neutral. Draw the knee back in, mindful. Grab your block and place the foot down on the floor, block to one side. Come back into that starting position and just take a little arch and flatten. And maybe even bring in the movement of the ankles again here. Working through the feet. And settling, taking a couple of breaths here, just noticing any difference in your body now compared to the beginning. And even if you don't feel any difference here, and just notice during the rest of your day, as you go about your daily life, if you can notice any difference in how your hips, your knees, and your ankles feel. Drawing your knees to your chest. Roll to one side. Take a slow push up into seated. Find that comfortable seated position. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale. Exhale. One more big deep inhale. And a loud exhale. Resting here. Body, mind, heart, and breath. Balanced as one. Namaste.